I think this is just about where the fuel cell is going to be. You can see it's even with that now instead of being 1.5 inches up. Should give some room for activities. Basically gonna put a bolt-on plate just like those were right there. Weld that's gonna come straight down underneath here, gonna box off, gonna go around and back up to there, and then I think that's really all I'm gonna do, I believe, but we'll see. It's definitely lighter weight than Fuel Safe was, so it doesn't need as gnarly of a cage. Possibly something coming up from here to there, and then that should be good to go. And then the radiator will probably sit coming down to about right here. The fan's pointed that way. Yeah, I think that's going to work out pretty good. Still got a good amount of room between the exhaust and the fuel cell. I could build a little heat shield for right there. Now I just need to order some metal and get to whelping. Alright, got all the old tubing spots sanded down after maximum effort. Now starting to measure out the actual outer cage. Got the plates for that. And that's going to run the tubing down the outside of this, around underneath and down. Probably just going to repurpose a lot of this stuff to make that happen, but we'll see. And then the outside one is going to get holes and tapped, and then that's going to be the big cage that goes around the outside of this, which is what the bumper support and bash bar are going to attach to. And then it's going to have the one that comes down from there probably to there, and there to there, and then the jack point. So that's the plan. I'm sticking to it. Status update. I've got those drilled and tapped for the bolts and the plates on both of those. And I've got the old cage cut up and kind of mocked up where it needs to be. Now I just need to cut it for height. I got new 1-inch tubing coming, and I'm just going to make a new bottom piece for everything, so it'll just be the uprights that I need to weld on. And then welding on the angled pieces back onto those plates, and then attaching this thing in. Then the fuel cell should be Dunskies. And the radiator setup is going to be something like this. Obviously that's going to be cut, but this still allows us to keep the same firewall. We can change the angle obviously up or down depending on what we feel like. And then the height will basically just be limited to where that mounts for the fuel cell, for the bar coming out for that. So it'll probably just be a smidge higher than that, or kicked up at a little bit more of an angle, but should be able to weld on some tabs and have all the mounting stuff be on the outside. So that's cool. Today is the day the metal came in and I can actually get the fabbing. So I got the 2F LFC panels clecoed in there and there, just the trunk to see. And I just wanted to take a moment to say that we're not worthy of having a company like 2F make stuff for S chassis, because this is the straightest that the rear end of this car has ever been, and probably ever will be, since it's been brand new. So the trunk is just absolutely flawless, even sitting up on the clecos. Like it's insane. Like that is so good. I have it clecoed in right there, and then again on the bottom just to kind of hold it in place while I weld in all the stuff to make sure that I have enough room for some crumplage and I can make stuff replaceable. Needed to make sure the trunk actually fit, but my goodness gracious, thank you 2F for just slaying it with these things. And they fit just like this. I haven't trimmed, I haven't done anything. Like, that is spot on for pretty much everything, even that complicated bit back there. Love me some 2F. Now I just got to push this thing in. I've made enough of a mess, push it back in, and get to fabricating. Got a lot of stuff to get done, and I'm trying to get it done by Friday. It is now Tuesday. 1x2 pipe that's going to hold the fuel cell at 45s, and then I'm going to weld them to these plates, tack them on, and then see where the fuel cell sits, make my adjustments, and then send her all together. All right, first 2 bars are in. I am going to lower them down all the way to the bottom of the plate because that is still sitting above that, and I kind of wanted it to be dead even. So yeah, recut those and weld them back on. Okay, redid those, and now we're to deficit, which is perfect. It'd be a lot easier for shrouding, be a lot easier to get the radiator in and out. You got more room to move, lower center of gravity. Stoked. So now I just need to get the centerpiece in and make sure everything's straight and send her on home. Got this mostly in place with it bolted in, so hopefully it doesn't move around too much when I actually take it off and weld it on the bench, but I'm gonna test fit that and see how it goes. How it's gonna be. It's gonna get tacked or stitch welded to the sides of this, and then gapped to the front a little bit because of the straps underneath, and then tack welded to that side, and then this thing should be solid as far as fuel cell mounting goes. Now there's actually room to get an impact in there to get the diff out if need be. There's plenty of room here for whatever intake we're going to do for the radiator. So, stoked. Well, so far, things were going well. And then my dumbass mismeasured the piece that's supposed to go in between. My math wasn't mathing, and now I'm way short, so I gotta cut another piece. Oh, measure 16 times and cut 400 more. That's alright. Learning, living, loving, laughing. Attempt number 69420. And it's something resembling the right dimensions. Then the shopping, I don't even know where the shopping cart thing is, I think it's outside, is going to come up here to attach to the trunk. This is going to get a little notch cut out of it to kind of sit on top of that. Then it's going to be a bar that comes up on one of the sides, and then it bolts through this whole thing. Then this shopping cart bar is going to attach to the radiator mounts there. So that's going to kind of triangulate things for the jacking point, which is going to have another support that comes off of that plate and goes to about right here. Same on that side. Yeah, I think. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having a good time. So here it all is with the fuel cell in there. It's pretty dead on even with the support bars. Somewhat square enough for me. Who knows how crooked this chassis is, but yeah, pretty stoked on the progress for today. Back at it again next day. Starting work on the old uprights. Got these tabs that I'm going to weld those to. Well, melt actually worked. So that the whole thing is actually still removable. I was just going to weld them in, but then that defeats the whole purpose of having them be a bolt-in solution. So, yeah. Gonna tack those in, see if they fit. Got the razor tip over there. These are just gonna be the supports for the actual jack point. And I called my buddy Brian from Car Crafters just to see if I was doing it properly, and he was like, use the weakest metal you can for those so it doesn't tweak your strut towers. And so I found some really thin wall, super thin wall, well, it's not going to look thin there, but super thin wall square tube. It's going to be strong enough to support for the jack, but if the car ever gets hit, it's not going to rip the strut towers out. So that's why I'm doing this. And there's those tacked in with one bolt, so hopefully it'll fold. And then those will come out to the very end there and there and provide some much needed support for the jack point that's going to go right yonder. Then this will go right here for the trunk, and then that will connect to the fan bar thing, I think, in theory. I haven't quite decided yet. Okay, onwards. Well, got my whelp on. Speaking of whelps, and we've got a fully functional rear end. Bolts through there, comes to here, comes there, comes to there. Jumping up and down, cars moving. Seems all right, and it's completely separate from the fuel cell, so it should hold it in there pretty good. Now I just got to get to the rest of the stuff. So that's fully bolt off. That's fully bolt off. Got a stud welded on for my exhaust. Yeah, cooking. Just relaxing in the rear end, trying to get the shopping cart pusher and the new hood pin, trunk pin locations. That's where the old ones were. That's where the new ones were. Got a tail light in just so I can make sure I could get a tool in there to take those on and off. Just had to pop some holes in the fiberglass. I haven't done that side yet, but yeah, getting real close. After much climbing in and out from underneath, got the old ones to line up. It's cut through the 2F now. Got the tail light in on that side. Got the tail light in on that side. I think I'm gonna go with the smoked tail lights for this build anyway. But these are now in, so those are gonna go through there. The fuel pickup should be right here. Gonna cut a big hole for that, but those are popping through. It's looking like a rear end again. Now I just need to get some Zeus fasteners. I'm gonna do it for the back window, and then I'm gonna do the pop out ones like I had on there before, these guys. To put the bumper back on. I think, and then the next step is going to be to run some conduit basically from the outside bar to there, so it's nice and weak, and then it's going to hold the tabs to mount the Zeus fasteners for the bumper. That's the plan. Anyway, so one thing I've learned while building my off-road trailer, and then now this, is fabrication just requires you to take things apart just as much as you put it together. So everything's back off so I can finish welding the hoop on. It's like the 8th time these fenders have come on and off, but I mean, I guess that's just part of the process and I need to trust it. Well, got most of the doof on, just need to do a tiny bit of trimming over there because these fenders are from this year and this bumper is from 2016 or 17. So they're, God, that was a long time ago. So I need to trim the LFC just a little bit, but the panel fits so good. Look at that. Look at this. Oh my goodness. So yeah, just a tiny bit of trimming, then I can make the bumper support and keep rocking and rolling. Two quick cuts later, and that's fitting oh so pretty. This side popped off, but yeah, once that's buttoned in, she's gonna fit right as rain. Look at all that. We're getting there. Just need to wait for the hardware to come in so I can mount those to the actual body, and be good to go. Now that I got the rear end mostly on, I fabricated a very, very simple, very, very lightweight bash bar to just hold the bumper up. Yeah, it can get crushed, it can get bent, and I can go buy more conduit and make another one pretty easily. The radiator came in, so now I need to trim these down just a little bit on both sides because the radiator is like an 1/8 inch too wide. And then I'm going to mock that up, figure out where that's going to go. And then I got to send it over to my buddy Wade, who's going to cut these off because they're on the wrong side. Flip them to over here so that we can mount the shroud on this side instead of this side. And then these need to be replaced for dash 16s. And then this radiator should be good to go once I actually figure out where to mount it in said space. The other project for today is to take this big ass hole saw, cut a hole for that right where the Monster logo is. So there we go. I also need to make a new back window. So got a big roll of Lexan, and now I gotta undo it and get to tracing the old one. So I got that thing unstrapped, and now I'm just gonna let it sit in the sun and hopefully straighten itself out a bit. It's unfortunate because the S13 coupe and probably the hatch, you can only make one windshield out of a full 4x8 sheet. So that's what we're gonna do. Got the window cut out. Let's see if it actually fits. I mean, luckily we had a pretty good pattern from the last one, so it shouldn't be too far off. It's a little more bendy than the last one for sure, which is a good thing because the other one kept cracking repeatedly. Yeah. That's actually pretty good. Not too shabby. Nice. I'm jumping all over the place today, but got the Zeus tabs mounted on this side as well. Got a bar right there. What I'm gonna do is use some more conduit, just put a slight bend in it, and then this is basically just going to be tack welded on right there. It's meant to just bend. It's just to give it a tiny amount of support, that's all, so it doesn't wobble around. Same for the other side. So those are nice and sitting pretty. The rear end is better than any other 240 I have right now, fitment wise and like fit and finish, which is crazy. That's not how that's supposed to be, but again, 2F just slays it. So yeah, just got to get these tacked in. I still haven't decided how I'm going to do the radiator. I think I'm going to probably end up doing it like this. It just needs to come down like 1/2 inch, and a new hole needs to be cut for the fill, which is going to come out through the glass, and then the fans are just going to blow out and back into there. So just need to figure out how I'm going to mount that and get it down a little bit, and should be good to go. All right, well, those are bolt on now. Decided to not just weld that on. I could just remake those. It takes no time at all. So that's all mounted. The only thing I need to do now is mount the actual bumper support to that bar, and I'll probably do the same thing. I don't want it to be stiff, I just want it to be enough to hold it. If it gets hit, that's just going to bend, and then I could just make a new one. So yeah, rear end is looking stoked. Back at it again. Got some parts in the mail, so now I'm going to be focusing on the dry brake system. Got this metal ring, and I'm just drilling out all the holes to fit that, so I can mount that, so that can mount to the hoop and have a solid place to do some refueling. Now, as if this trunk doesn't already have enough Swiss cheese holes, I'm gonna go ahead and cut another one. Got that marked. Hopefully that's the center. We're gonna find out. And extra big ass hole saw. Slice it. So that's where the fuel is gonna go. And then it's gonna be solid mounted, so then I don't need to take the trunk off to put fuel in, which is also the first. Well, the hole's cut. Now, I just need to see if this will sit underneath there. I hope it does. It looks like it's going to be a-okay. Let's just set this up. And so that will be just like that. Sick. Just tacked it to the underside of the trunk so that I can have it up there and then put some bars on there to get it mounted. Then I'm going to cut it. It's going to be difficult, but I'm going to make it happen. That is the finished product. Nice and strong. Stand on that thing, so putting the fuel jug up there and just letting it sit, not going to be an issue. I just need to get this off and then weld around the rest of the bottoms, but yeah, sick. And the hose is just going to go straight down through there. Still get the fuel cell in and out as it sits right now. So that's good news too.